Here we go. Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. Schlegs, we have 2 shows left this year. How great is that? In the calendar year 2024, Buckeyes, their next game will be 2025, 5 p.m. Eastern in the Rose Bowl. So we've got 2 more shows to be able to break that down today. We're going to be welcomed in by Caroline Fenton of Yahoo Sports, SiriusXM. She's going to join us, talk a little ball. She has before reoccurring character, if you will. And Schlegs, I got this done for you. He was sick last week, but I was able to resurrect him like Lazarus, from the grave. I'm reading The Killing Jesus by Bill O'Reilly right now, which has been absolutely fantastic. But we were able to resurrect him, pull him up. He was feeling sick, but he's good. He's healthy now. He feels good. And he's going to be joining us tomorrow.
Ben Scott Stevens?
Yeah, Ben Scott Stevens. So Ben Scott Stevens is going to be joining us tomorrow. And he'll be giving us the preview of all of the games because we've got, I believe, Penn State Boise tomorrow night, and then the full bevy of games with Ohio State being the lucky Pierre, if you will, jammed in the middle. We'll have Texas and, hold on, gosh, I'm trying to remember who they play. Texas and Arizona State.
Arizona State, bro.
At the beginning, which if you're an Arizona State fan, like how great does that sound? It's kicking off at like 2 o'clock, so you're getting a nice sub-noon start. Ohio State will be at 5 Eastern with Oregon in the Rose Bowl, and then the nightcap will be Notre Dame and Georgia, which I think will be pretty good. And I'm sure they would have loved to have jammed Ohio State and Oregon into that night slot. However, Schlegs, the Rose Bowl is always a 5 o'clock Eastern kick, a 2 o'clock local. That's where you get the sun coming over the San Bernardino Mountains, I believe. That's supposed to look absolutely epic, absolutely phenomenal. You've been out to the Rose Bowl, I believe.
Nope, have not.
Never? You didn't
Never.
make one of those trips? Okay. Just trying to remember what all you've been to throughout the years with everything. I guess you guys went to the Orange Bowl in 2013. That's right.
Yep, went to the Orange Bowl. I mean, I was out on the West Coast one time when I was at Air Force for the Diamond Walnut San Francisco
that Diamond
Bowl.
Walnut Bowl played at the San Francisco Giants Park doesn't count, okay? You guys are both on the same sideline, like a high school, like a middle school team playing in the middle of a baseball field. So that doesn't count. I thought that, I was trying to remember what that 2013 game was. So you don't have
2010 Rose Bowl, right? That happened in 2011. I came like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that was the
that was the Jake Ballard.
No, that was the 2009 game for the 2010.
That was the Sugar Bowl.
The Sugar Bowl was the one you came right after, but that was the Jake Ballard big time catch over there where TP threw up a prayer to him and he was able to bring that down. I was actually talking to John Simon about that today when we were lifting. Talked a lot about the Rings of Power, some Lord of the Rings stuff, and then started diving into Solomon Thomas, the hero of the Sugar Bowl in 2010. That was the first time Ohio State had beat the SEC in a bowl game in a long time, maybe ever. That's neither here nor there. We got a big show. We're gonna get to some of your questions and comments and tailgate talk. Can't wait for that. There's some unbelievable ones. So, folks, if you're watching, please like, subscribe, throw your questions, comments, all that stuff in the comment section here. It'll be tremendous. It's good fodder for us, and we love to answer your questions. So we'll get that done. But Schlegs, it's the first Monday that we've really talked. That Christmas week with it being on a Wednesday is kind of a blur. You've got New Year's now on a Wednesday. What has this weekend been like for you? Was the travel good? Did everything go smoothly when you diverted from your family? They went to Jayville, you went back to Ohio.
Well, yeah, I mean, one, I'm wearing a Fort Worth Fire Department hat, Bob. You got it from our guy, Tim Phillips.
I got a sweatshirt, too.
And a sweatshirt. Side nugget, Jim Davis is the fire chief for the Fort Worth Fire Department. Guess what? Buckeye. So shout out Jim Davis.
Is he from Ohio? How does the Fort Worth Fire chief become a Buckeye?
I don't know, man. I don't know the backstory on it. Maybe I got to get Jim a call next time I'm down in the Fort Worth area. But hey, travel was fine. I got back to the farm. I did a lot of work. Matter of fact, I did a lot of work at the Difference this last weekend because we got orders going out. I had to build a bunch of pads. I'm just in there listening to country music, wearing a cowboy hat, doing my stuff. Then I went to the farm and I cut down this massive pine tree. Well, I didn't really cut it down. It fell down. So
then you cut it up.
Then I cut it up, right?
Yeah.
And that takes a long time because I'm keeping some wood. I'm burning other wood, and it's like, whatever. So just basically doing that, getting ready for this week. Already trained the Columbus Fury this morning with my dude, Coach Dean. And, yeah, man, just excited for this week, excited for tomorrow's night matchup with Boise and Penn State, and then being able to watch all the games. I'm actually going to go in and get bumpy because the Armory, we're closed at 5 o'clock New Year's Eve. But then guess what? January 1, boom, all day. All day. We're going, man. New memberships, baby. Come on. Let's get swole together.
For New Year's Day, what time is it open? 6?
No, 5.
Even better. My gosh.
5 a.m.
That's awesome.
People can just roll straight in. I mean, there's honestly, Bob, you know this, like pull up a straight turbo Rob Reynolds and just come right from the bar. You're like, you know what? I want to sign up. Guess what? We'll waive that initiation fee and let's get in there and let's pump some iron and work out the booze that you just had all night.
Yeah, get a little workout. Then you go to the recovery room, Schlegs. You side in the saunas and the cold tubs, get a little contrast in there, the hot tubs, whatever. I know you've got all these recovery modalities. And so, yeah, you can lean on in and you'll start off the new year feeling like a new dude or dudette. That's going to be pretty tremendous.
Yeah, no, it's fun. What do you got going on?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. Here's the problem of consuming these games. I was talking to Rick Neuheisel about this earlier today. I popped on Full Ride on XM with him. And they go, what is the fare going to be like for New Year's? And so I was like, my wife's, you got to have some pork, dude. We're German like you. So I usually get some pork and some sauerkraut.
Spaghetti Deutsch?
Yes, exactly. Spaghetti Deutsch, whatever that means. What does that mean?
It means you speak German.
Ich meine ein Berliner.
All I know is you're supposed to eat cabbage for money and black-eyed peas for luck. That's all I know.
And never take a wooden nickel.
Yeah, don't take wooden nickels, everybody. Life lessons. You're welcome.
I thought you were supposed to eat. My grandpa always ate pork and sauerkraut.
I don't know, man. Hey, you know me. I just eat whatever's there.
A lot like cabbage. Like they got to be related, don't they?
Maybe. I just know cabbage is green, so you eat that for money. I don't know why black-eyed peas are for luck. Like, I don't understand that. I mean, hell, Bob, you know me. Like, when I come up here, I literally just eat. Like
okay, so here's the best part.
I ate 5 eggs and probably half a pound of jerky as my dinner.
This is what you get done on the Bobby Carpenter Show. This is what the opening line was for how to make sauerkraut. When life gives you cabbage, you make sauerkraut. So sauerkraut is cabbage, just like a pickle is a cucumber. So Buckeyes, you're getting them both. We were speaking the same language and didn't even know it.
I love cucumbers.
Yeah, but cabbage is made with sauerkraut's made with cabbage. Like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square. The sauerkraut is made from the cabbage. So we'll do that.
Sounds good.
Of course, going to make some sort of like short rib roast or something.
That sounds delightful.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. But here's the problem. When I watch the games, I watch it like I'm a coach. Now, I don't have like the Bill Belichick, finger cut little gloves in my little pad. Probably got like a little legal pad around here somewhere that I would like be taking notes on and writing down things. But I do sit there during the game and I will like, Bucks ran a blitz here. They picked it up, like maybe just missed the throw or there was an open guy, didn't see it. Or you know what? Ohio State ran a screen. It was there. They just didn't execute it. And like, I'm taking these notes, like need to come back to this. Hope Oregon doesn't come back to that, or Ohio State gets it corrected or figures things out. Because, like there's plays that are sometimes there that just aren't made.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching the game. You see it. I see it like, holy smokes. Like they had an unbelievable draw that could have hit. All they needed was just one guy blocked, or maybe for Ohio State's defense, like one guy made a great play. But if he doesn't make that, that's a 15-yard gain. If they come back to it, you can't rely on that one guy. Like you got to structurally figure some things out. And so that's the balance of like, when you have it on a holiday, I'm happy that it's the New Year's Day game because it's not like New Year's Eve night and like people are partying. We're going to be jamming and having a good time because I got to watch. I really don't want to hear the emotional roller coaster of a lot of my friends and family, a lot of the people that I love. But when I'm in a game, Schlegs, you got to be steady, Eddie, like cousin Eddie, pumping the crap into the sewage. Like it's no big deal. You're smelling the turds and like, it's okay. You don't care. I'm going to get through this, and the next part is going to be better. And so that's how I like to watch the games. Now, you're going to be here by yourself, so your family's not going to be around. So you don't have to worry about that. But, like, I'll never forget against Georgia 2 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
And Georgia drives down. They get a field goal. On the way, every 5 or 6 yard pickup by Georgia. Our defense sucks. We're the worst. We're going to get blown out. I wish we weren't even playing in this game. This is awful. I'm like, wait till they score a touchdown. Wait till we score a touchdown before we ultimately have an issue. And they held them to a field goal. And I'm like, see, it's not all that bad, is it? It's pretty good. And then so the next thing was like, hey, then we went down and scored. And then we're going to win. I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this. They're going to score some. We're going to score some. Let's chill out and let's try to figure this thing out. Your thoughts?
Then what?
I don't know. Then we figured it out.
I'm listening to you. I'm listening. Hey, first off, yes, I will be by myself. I'm going to go to the difference. Or I'm going to come up, get bumpy on New Year's Day with everybody coming to the Armory. Then I'm going to go to the difference. And I'm going to suck. I'm going to stuff a bunch of pads. Like, who doesn't like, I'm a good pad stuffer, Bob.
Oh, yeah.
Then
Doc
I'm going, what's that?
We call you Doc McStuffin, Schleiks.
No doubt, man. Then I'm going to go back to the farm and just enjoy watching. But I'm like you. I do it on my computer. I watch it on my computer, or I don't watch it on my computer. But I take all my notes on the computer. And I'm like you. Like, I'll be down in distance. I go by quarter. I go by when they start the drives, because I like to, when I go back and look at the sequences as why they did what they did. But then I recognize those big plays. Hey, we got to get into third and long. Hey, they've gotten too many. They've been too good on first and second down. That's why they gotten. I think it was I forget what game it was. It might have been the Indiana game when they opened it up and they had multiple first downs. I was like, man, we got to get them to third and long. But that's why they were winning, third down, because it was third and short, stuff like that. But then, hey, this guy had a big play here, or great tackle by Lathan on a screen or whatever. Like, those are the things that you and I both noticed. But that's what, to me, I can't consume those with other people around, because they're just spouting off random nonsense. And I would say this, the mood of that December 31st, 2022 night going into 23 was terrible, because the guy misses a 50-yard kick that wasn't even close. And everybody's like, we absolutely are terrible. And I'm just like, I can't listen to you anymore.
Yeah, that's part of it. They put themselves in position. I'm like, what else do you want them to do? And it wasn't even close. So hopefully this New Year's will start off much better. Schleiks, you know what will start off much better is with our friends at Exports. We're going to protect what matters most with Export mouth guards. Trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists, Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to protect both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including the patented use of carbon fiber. Their unique smile is 3D printed right to your grill, so you feel good about it. It means more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15%. Export, protect what matters most. Caroline Fenton, Yahoo XM, coming up next. All right, welcome back into the program, and now we're pleased to welcome in one of our reoccurring guests, one of our favorites. You're down in Nashville, right, Caroline? Is that where you?
I live in Nashville. I'm actually in Phoenix right now. If you can tell by the golf clubs behind me, I'm really getting into the full, desert Phoenix experience. But I'll be at the Fiesta Bowl tomorrow, covering it for XM. But based in Nashville and Phoenix now.
Nice. So you're going to be down there. The Fiesta Bowl, one of our favorite bowls. We played it. I played it 3 times. Schleiks played it twice. Unbelievable environment, great experience. I was never really a big fan of the toaster out in Glendale. The best place to play it is in Sun Devil Stadium with the mountains in the back. Like, it's so beautiful, especially at night right there. But what's the best part that you've been kind of taking in from this Fiesta Bowl with Boise State and Penn State?
I just got in. I think my flight landed at like 1:30 a.m. last night, like Phoenix time. So I've been going through it a little bit over the last few hours, but I think the biggest thing to me has just been the hype and excitement surrounding both of these fan bases for two completely different reasons. From the Boise State perspective, there's a certain sense of pressure, but also a certain sense of pride. It feels like the Boise State is the Group of Five representative, that it feels like the conversations these players and these coaches and even the fan base is having is, we understand that the data points moving forward for Group of Five representation in a playoff, whenever the format inevitably changes, whether it's next year or the year after that or whenever it will be, the data points and the arguments for a place at the table for the Group of Five will be used in how Boise State looks against Penn State. So there's like a certain sense of pride I feel like this fan base and this team is taking, and not just representing themselves, but representing the future of college football, it feels like. And then at the Penn State side of things, it's a completely different perspective. The narrative of this team, James Franklin, can't win the big games. And obviously a little bit of that is shaken off a little bit. A little that is disproven based off of the way Penn State looked against SMU. But there's still such a massive amount of pressure for this team, because this is a Penn State team that, however way you want to look at it, offensively, defensively, special teams, the amount of talent, the amount of money, the history of these programs, every single data point that you have for this Penn State team tells you that Penn State should win, and should win incredibly handily. That even when the bracket came out, it felt like Penn State had the easiest road to the college football playoff semifinals. So it's Penn State kind of trying to go against that narrative that they can't win in big time situations. I don't think it's a correct narrative, but it's a narrative nonetheless.
So Caroline, in this game, like Boise, I think they're second nationally in sacks. But really, to me, it comes down to Penn State stopping Genty. Mm-hmm. But then, was it Maddox Matson? He's gonna have to carry some of the load too. How do you see this game going down out there in the desert?
I think it's going to be a pretty decided Penn State victory, because that is the Penn State objective. That is game plan number one. We don't let Ashton Genty beat us, but that is so much easier said than done. Like, yeah. Ashton Genty is going to get his, he's going to get the carries, and he's going to get the sheer number of yards no matter who he plays. We saw it against Oregon, that he's going to be able to get his, even against some of the best defenses in the country. But Boise State, even as well as Maddox Matson has played at times this season, Boise State feels like a one-trick pony, that if you limit what Ashton Genty does, because he's going to get his no matter what, but if you limit what he does and you sell out to stop Ashton Genty, I don't think there's any other area of this Boise State team that can beat Penn State. Even Penn State, a team that has struggled maybe a little bit through the year, that doesn't have the same amount of talent on the outside offensively that an Ohio State has, that an Oregon has, that a Texas has. Penn State has been able to win games and get to the college football playoff by running the football and stopping the run. It is what they do best, and I think that's going to show up against Boise State tomorrow.
And so that's interesting, because usually teams that run the ball, like, you don't see a large margin of victory, Caroline. Like, those games are fairly close. The biggest, I guess, offensive outburst we saw with Penn State came against Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. Now, they scored a good number of points against SMU, but a lot of those were derived from turnovers, obviously the pick sixes and everything else that ultimately happened. I think Penn State will be able to score. I don't know about how that level of pull away. Is this a game that you think could reside in the 20s but never really feels all that close?
I think that's exactly what it is. And looking at this spread, I believe it's 11.5 points in Penn State's favor last time I checked. I wouldn't be surprised if Boise State covers, just because I don't know how much I can trust Penn State to put up enough points to cover an 11.5 point spread. But I think that's exactly how it's going to feel, that Penn State's going to be the team that scores first, I believe. And then maybe Penn State gets off to a double-digit lead, and then it never really feels that close. And maybe Boise State's able to stay in it, whether it's, just driving down the field with Ashton Genty, or it's a field goal here and a field goal there to at least keep themselves in it. But I just feel like overall, the physicality and the size and the talent advantage that Penn State has, it's never really going to feel overly close, even if Boise State is able to find a way to cover what is a pretty massive spread.
Well, and you got the following day, you got Texas, Arizona State, which honestly, I think it's going to be fun to watch because they both like to run the football, but Texas's defense is just really, really good. What do you think going into this game? Who has the edge?
It's definitely Texas for me, and I feel very similarly about this Texas-Arizona State game that I do about this Penn State-Boise State game, that Texas is going to win, I believe, if they beat and when they beat Arizona State, and will continue to win games in the college football playoff based off of how well they're able to run the football and how efficiently they're able to stop the run. Like, I don't view Texas winning a national championship because of what Quinn Ewers does with his arm, because that's not the kind of team that they are. That's not the kind of team that they've been all season long. When Quinn Ewers had the ball in his hand and he had to win it for Texas when Georgia essentially took away the run completely against them in the SEC championship game, they didn't look very good. They lost that game because I don't feel like Quinn Ewers is able to consistently win you football games with the ball in his hand. So I view that very similarly. Texas running the football and stopping the run, like Penn State is going to have to do against Boise State. It's easier said than done against this Arizona State team with Cam Skadbu, who is one of the most electric and exciting running backs to watch in all of college football. The man is a maniac. He is so fun to watch. And then their young quarterback, Sam Leavitt. And I think Sam Leavitt is the most underrated quarterback in all of college football. That he can win you games with the ball in his hand, but can he do it against this Texas defense? Maybe, sure, it's possible, but I don't think that it's probable. Ultimately, it's going to be Texas's defense. That's the difference.
Yeah, it seems like that should be the case. The one thing that just I get concerned about is the quarterback situation with Texas. Them trying to figure out what Ewers is, and he's obviously the lead, and he's their starter. But trying to work in Arch, we saw the turnover in the last game, that if this game is close, and I thought that was the methodology for Clemson. If they could keep it close and you could force some sort of quarterback conundrum in the fourth quarter, I'm curious to see how Sark handles that. And I guess that's kind of the same recipe I have for Arizona State here. If they can get Scatterbo going enough, they can control the clock, grind on them. I don't know that they can, but the quarterback issue, I think, is real because Ewers has struggled, and Arch was, come in, run the ball, maybe throw it a little bit. But I've never really been a fan of teams doing that, simply due to the fact you get in late games and people start looking around as, well, who's going in next?
And I think that Sark has handled this situation brilliantly. If there's anyone in all of college football that can handle one incredibly high-profile starting quarterback who's been starting in your system for 3 years and the most famous backup, if not the most famous quarterback in all of college football, it's Sark. It's an offensive mastermind in Sark. And the way that he's been able to communicate, not just on the inside, not just in the locker room and to those two guys, but also publicly, he has made it very, very clear. Quinn Ewers is our starting quarterback. Quinn Ewers is our guy, and Arch is simply supplemental. I don't think that we see a situation where if Texas is down 10 with 8 minutes left in an absolute have-to-have-it moments, that we're going to see Arch Manning come in and take over as the quarterback position. I think we do see, however, Arch Manning come in certain packages, whether it's goal line, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. We've seen him come in some of those money downs. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but Sark has been consistent and has been very adamant. Quinn Ewers is our starting quarterback, and I don't see him taking him out in a game on the line kind of situation.
Looks you're muted. You got to turn yourself on. I'm sorry, Caroline. We with Damon Trout.
So I'm sorry, okay. I'm muting it because my echo. Hey, here's my question. Is Sam Leavitt capable of throwing for over 300 yards because even though the Texas defense is really good at stopping the run, I mean, Clemson had 76, 77 yards of rushing, and 40 of it came on one carry. But can Sam, their weakness right now is they gave up 336 yards to Clemson, right, through the air to keep them in that game. Can Sam Leavitt do that? Because even if they want to stack the box, there's other things that you got to do. And I think Arizona State probably is more primed than a Boise State to be able to do this to a Texas defense. You think it's something that they can do?
I think it's something that he can do. Is it something that he can do against this Texas defense? Frankly, I don't think so. And I look at that Clemson game, and in the first half, yes, that first drive for Clemson was surgical. That was really a majority of what they had in the first half. And I felt like there was a certain element of Texas's defense taking their foot off the gas in the first part of that second half, really the majority of the third quarter. And that's when Clemson started to make things really uncomfortable. That's when Cade Klubnik started to make some really big and kind of game-changing plays. But just when it started to get a little uncomfortable, when Clemson comes within one score, that's when we had a 77-yard Jaden Blue touchdown, and that's when Texas's defense really locked in. So I don't see that necessarily, as good as Sam Leavitt has been. I don't see a 300-plus yard performance, and if it is a 300-plus yard performance, it's because Arizona State has no choice but to throw the football because they're down 2 scores.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up with Carolina after this, the 2 big games, the ones that everyone see, the night and evening cap of the college football weekend on New Year's. Notre Dame and Georgia, and Ohio State and Oregon coming up next.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. All right, welcome back into the program, and one more segment here with Caroline Fenton. The big games. We'll start with Georgia and Notre Dame. That weekend, and with Ohio State and Oregon. And give Caroline a follow on X at Caroline Fenton, #1, because she's the best, #1, as always. Doing a great job with SiriusXM and Yahoo as well. And Caroline, this Notre Dame Georgia game, I feel like we're not talking enough about Gunnar Stockton. Carson Beck is going to be entering the draft. He's having elbow surgery. He's out for the season. I mean, Gunnar Stockton's a quarterback at Georgia. He obviously has enough ability to have earned a scholarship there. He's not the most experienced guy in the world. Is this Georgia team good enough around him to be able to maybe overcome some of his inexperience?
Totally. And it's Caroline Fenton 1 because Caroline Fenton was taken. So if you want to spam the woman in London who hasn't tweeted since like 2011 that holds the @Caroline Fenton handle, would really appreciate that. But yes, totally. Georgia has enough around Gunnar Stockton to win a national championship, because the question whenever Carson Beck went down, there was a lot of, question about his status of before the news that he was going to be out for the playoffs. The question was, well, can Georgia won a national championship with Gunnar Stockton? Well, I thought Georgia could win a national championship regardless of who was under center, because I thought Georgia was going to win a national championship because of their defense. We've seen Georgia's defense play at a national championship level several times this season. We saw it in the SEC championship game. We saw it against Texas earlier in the season, a game that Carson Beck threw 3 interceptions, and they still found a way to win against one of the best teams in the country on the road because of how good and shut down their defense was. The issue, though, is Georgia's defense doesn't play at that level on a consistent basis. That we saw the first half against Alabama. We saw how many rushing yards they gave up to Haynes King alone. Newsflash, Riley Leonard's pretty good with his legs too. So can they win with Gunnar Stockton? Yes, they can, because of the defense, but the defense has to play at that level that we saw them play in the SEC championship game. Really, the both times that we saw Georgia's defense play against Texas this season, we need that Georgia defense. And then Gunnar Stockton, he needs to take care of the football. We saw him throw a bad interception at the worst possible moment in the final couple of minutes against Texas in the SEC championship game. But we also saw a lot of good from him. We saw the intrigue. We saw why he was a 5-star recruit and why he's a quarterback at Georgia. I think the most noteworthy thing that I saw, though, and what I took away from the half of football that we saw Gunnar Stockton play in the SEC championship game, it felt like there was a sense of energy and electricity that was just instilled in this team whenever Gunnar Stockton came in. And that's not me saying that this team doesn't love and respect and view Carson Beck as their leader, because I think that they absolutely do. But it felt like there was this next level of energy that we saw this Georgia team play with once Gunnar Stockton came in, which tells me that they love this guy and they believe in this guy. So yeah, I think Georgia can win with Gunnar Stockton under center.
Can win. So looking at that, Carolina, to me, it seems these teams are very similar. Like, they like to run the ball. They'll throw it some, but they'd like to make their living on the ground. Both of them have dynamic defenses. Notre Dame, obviously losing one of their tackles, going to be impactful there. It seems almost to me where I think Georgia probably has a little better roster, but can Gunnar Stockton take up enough of the space to make up for how good Riley Leonard has been like the last 8 weeks?
I don't think so. And that's where the kicker really is for me, is obviously losing Riley Mills, their leading sacker. That's huge. That's an underrated aspect of this game that I don't think we're talking about enough. Obviously, Carson Beck being out as the starting quarterback of one of the best teams in the country, that's got to be a conversation. But losing Riley Mills has been massive. It will be massive, I think, for Notre Dame's defense. But we've seen Riley Leonard get better week over week over week. And that's so much credit to Mike Denbrock, Notre Dame's offensive coordinator, that's where he's made his money. You look at Jaden Daniels year 1 to year 2. Year 1, he was a solid SEC starting quarterback. Year 2, he won the Heisman Trophy. What he did with Desmond Ridder at Cincinnati, getting Cincinnati to a college football playoff game when he was there and was the offensive coordinator there. Now we see Riley Leonard, how he's been able to develop as a passer, how we see, or at least I have seen, the way that he processes is so much more calm. It's so much, he takes his time, he goes through his progressions, whereas maybe the Riley Leonard that we saw against Texas A&M in the first week of the year was drop back and run if your first read isn't there. That's some development and progression, and frankly just time, that Gunnar Stockton has not been able to have. And sure, Gunnar Stockton has had the last 2 weeks to be able to watch film, to be able to watch Notre Dame's defense, to be able to watch some of the mistakes that he made against Texas in the SEC championship game. He's been able to have time to work through those things with offensive coordinator Mike Bobo. But when you just haven't seen things, it's an experience factor that I think is invaluable, which makes me so frustrated when I hear Georgia fans say, well, we're a better team with Gunnar Stockton. Well, I have a really hard time believing that and buying into that. And that's nothing, against Gunnar Stockton, but in a college football playoff game against one of the best defenses in the country, I'll take the quarterback that started 2 full seasons in the SEC versus a quarterback that's getting his very first college start in the college football playoff and has only attempted 50 passes in 2 years.
Notre Dame played really good against IU. They only had 3 points in the first half. Can Notre Dame make Georgia one-dimensional and actually put it on to Gunnar Stockton?
They're going to have to. That is the path to victory to me for Notre Dame, is take the run away and say, Gunnar, let's see what you got, young gun. Like, let's see what you can do with your arm. And I think that they can, because it's not like Georgia has been a rushing juggernaut all season long. Like, Trevor Etienne, I don't believe has a single 100-yard rushing game. He had a great game against Texas, and that was a massive part of why Georgia was able to beat Texas, was because of what Trevor Etienne was able to do with his legs. And obviously Nate Frazier has been a massive part of their running game as well, but it's not like Georgia has been some sort of rushing juggernaut. So yes, I think that absolutely Notre Dame's defense, how good they've been against the run, one of the best rushing defenses in all of college football, that's the path. And that is how I believe Notre Dame beats Georgia, taking the run away, putting the ball in Gunnar Stockton's hands, and then just being consistent running the football with Jeremiah Love, and more importantly, I think Riley Leonard.
All right, going to the Rose Bowl out west, Oregon, Ohio State, the rematch from earlier this year, 1.1 second with Will Howard on the slide. How do you see this one playing out, Caroline?
This game just feels right, doesn't it? Oregon, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, 2 of the best teams in college football. Like, this game gives me national championship vibes for so many reasons, but mostly because I think that these are the 2 best teams in the country. And I kind of view this matchup as A few different ways. One, the old adage of a team that you trust more is which coach and which quarterback do you trust more? In that instance, coach and quarterback, I defer to Oregon. Dillon Gabriel has seen a lot of football. Dillon Gabriel has been the face of consistency at the quarterback position in a year where inconsistency has kind of been king, at least at the top in college football. And then the coach trust factor is maybe less of what Dan Lanning has done and more of what Ryan Day has not done in some of these big games and big time situations. But I've said since the beginning, since the college football playoff bracket came out, that the winner of the national championship will be the team that best runs the football and best stops the run. Like, that's the theme of the day. That's the theme of the playoff. That's the theme of the week, is stopping the run and running the football. Well, who do I trust to do that? Ohio State. I trust Ohio State to take away the run much more than I trust Oregon to stop the run, because in Oregon's 3 games that they've played in against college football teams, Boise State, they gave up 220 yards on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry, gave up 150 to Ohio State in the regular season, just gave up 300 on the ground to Penn State. Like, that is their Achilles heel. So I don't trust Oregon to be able to take away Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. And that's exactly why I trust Ohio State in running the football, is that two-headed monster. So which is more important in this matchup? I don't know. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to come down to, because is it Dillon Gabriel being able to do Superman things? Because he was able to do Superman things against Ohio State's defense in the regular season. It was giving up way too many explosive plays. It was Dillon Gabriel being able to evade the very little pressure, frankly, that Ohio State's defense put on him. So if Ohio State's defense can get after Dillon Gabriel the way that they were able to get after Nico Iamaleava, if they're able to take the run away as well as they did against Tennessee, basically the run game was completely ineffective against Tennessee. That's Ohio State's path to victory. I think there's a lot of buy-in into this Ohio State team, so much so because of what we saw against Tennessee, and so much so because of where we saw Oregon struggle at times, mostly defensively against Penn State in the Big Ten title game. And it's a "what have you done for me lately" league. And that's what those two teams have done for us lately. But it's a trust factor of this defense, and it's a trust factor of these quarterbacks. I trust Dillon Gabriel a little bit more, but can we see the Ohio State defense that we saw against Tennessee? That's the difference to me.
Caroline, thank you for your time. I had no idea that you were traveling into the wee hours of the morning. We appreciate you getting up. You would not have known it. You look fantastic.
Enjoy
getting out there, and you got media day and everything else that you've got to go running around. So we appreciate you spending some time with us. Look forward to catching up soon, folks. Awesome job on SiriusXM, Yahoo Sports. Also give her a follow on X. Caroline Fenton, #1. Thanks, Caroline.
Appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Enjoy the games.
Yeah, you too.
She's fantastic. All right, coming up next, we've got some headline Schlegs. We'll get those ripping and running because we got some great ones in Tailgate Talk too coming up next.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right. Welcome back into the show. Caroline Fenton was tremendous. Schlegs.
She's fantastic.
She does. She's so locked in on all the games. She does such a terrific job. Wish we had some more time with her, but we got our headlines coming here. Schlegs, want to talk about a guy who, it's amazing, that whole conversation. We talked about Will Howard, Dillon Gabriel, talked about all the other teams. Never mentioned this guy, J.J. Smith, 1,000 yards receiving.
Yep.
Somehow didn't win the Freshman of the Year award. The Edge at Texas won it this year. 10th receiver in Ohio State history to surpass 1,000 yards in a single season. Obviously, the first freshman to do so. You saw the game that he put together against Tennessee, Schlegs. And we'll get into this more a little bit tomorrow. How important is his performance of him being that alpha dude out there on the field, whether he has 70 yards or 170, but just having an impact on the game?
Guys, he has an impact anytime he's in the game. He has the capability of it. We saw that in the Michigan game where, pass interferences. You saw this in the Tennessee game. You saw his ability to create separation. You saw how physical he is at the point of attack, which he got an offensive pass interference call versus Oregon the first time. The dude is just a dude, right? And he does so much. And the best thing right now is I think that Ohio State has figured out a way of utilizing him outside of the box of being wide. Bring him in, put him in the slot, put him in motion. Right? Do whatever you got to do to get forward the ball, because once you do, it opens up everything else for everybody else. And that's kind of what this game happened. It was the Jeremiah Smith show, but also Emeka had great plays, and G made plays, and Carnell made plays. Like, they all can make those type of plays. But I think when you get him started early and often, it's just a different dynamic. And that's the offense just felt better. I mean, 3 series, boom, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
It's pretty impressive. He's tremendous. Yep. And then on the other side of this situation, Oregon had a lot of success passing the ball against Ohio State, especially in the second half. Had some PIs, had some big plays. Ohio State
had a lot of zones too, Bob.
Well, a lot of zones, and they were trying to combo a lot of stuff. I think they've simplified some things, but Ohio State has not allowed a passing touchdown since Oregon, which I think is pretty darn impressive when you start looking at that and how much better this pass defense has been the second half of the season.
Bob, there was somebody made a comment on there how that stat is deceiving. I don't know how a stat of where you haven't allowed a passing touchdown in 7 games, to not be a real stat. It's like, oh, they didn't play anybody that's a passing team. What was Indiana? What was Penn State? Like, you faced 2 top 5 teams. You never gave up a touchdown through the air.
Yeah.
So I think, to your point, Bob, I think it was that bye week, Ryan Day in the meeting room with the defense, something that he could not have done the year before because he was the OC and the quarterback coach and the head coach. They got it figured out. They got what the D-line needed to look like. They understood what would they need to do in the secondary. And I think that's when you have other eyeballs that can come in there and pinpoint these things and get everybody collectively on the same page. Results like this happen, but results like this happen because the guys know what to do and they execute.
Yeah, it's been impressive. I think maybe you had to simplify a little bit and go let your dudes play. A good call is better than a perfect call if everybody feels confident in what's going on. And when you have great players, let them go make those plays. Let them put them in position to ultimately be able to have success. And I think Ohio State did that in a pretty big way the second half of the season. I don't know how it's a deceptive stat. I mean, Michigan, they don't throw the ball, but Indiana has thrown it with some success. You saw Penn State throw it a lot against Oregon. I mean, they were able – now they haven't thrown the ball a ton, but they threw it a lot against Oregon. By the way, they have the Mackey Award winner in Ty Warren, so it may not be the Blitikoff, but it's a tight end. He got it for receiving. He runs the ball some, but a lot of it's due to his pass catching prowess. And then they did a great job, obviously, against Tennessee as well, having a lot of success there. So kudos to them in Ohio State and what they were able to do the second half of the season with their pass defense. They're going to need it at 5 o'clock on January 1st, 2025 against the Oregon Ducks. All right, coming up, we got our tailgate talk brought to you by Real Truck Schlegs. There's some unbelievable comments I can't wait to get into coming up next.
Get the most out of work, life, and all your outdoor adventures with top-selling upgrades for your truck. Guaranteed fit, free shipping, Easy install, expert support, and thousands of dealers just a click away. Bring your truck to life. Real Truck. Upgrade today and save between $50 and $400 on select Real Truck products. Visit realtruck.com/specials.
All right, welcome into our Tailgate Talk, brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. Listen, the new year's almost here. Get your truck, Jeep, Bronco, souped up and get it rolling at realtruck.com. Go there. Here's the great part. We're still got the offer going for you. You spend $100 on Real Truck, which is super easy to do because you're going to buy a million things. And you put promo code Bobby in the checkout, you get that Real Truck hat. They've got stuff to bring your truck, Jeep,
It's
Bronco,
a nice hat too, Bob.
life. Oh, it's a great hat. Great hat. High quality. Love that thing. And so, like I said, you got brush guards, bumpers, truck bed covers, tops for your G, all kinds of things, winches. It's all there, inside, outside. It's there for you. So go check them out at realtruck.com. All right, Schlegs, we got some comments from Friday's show.
I can't wait to hear these.
Ryan Belknap, 4959. How stoned is Schlegs? LOL.
Yeah.
Defend yourself or indulge. I don't know.
Do I look stoned now? Because like this is how I just am. Like maybe I was pondering something. I'm baffled by the stat I read. Okay, yeah. Let's see. How stoned is Schlegs? That sounds amazing. I'm not stoned. I'm just high on life, bro.
All right, Schlegs, here's another one for you by Jackie Boy 1057, allegedly a Buckeye fan. I was looking through his profile. OSU gets beat by Oregon once again on January 1st, 2025. Ryan Day and Chip Kelly need to go. Just because they beat weird-ass Tennessee doesn't mean anything. $20 million roster has been proven a bust. The Ducks raised the trophy. Responded to that, Kendra pitching. Most of the so-called $20 million was spent to retain kids already on the roster from going pro. Yes. Fire them, get rid of these bums. All they do is recruit top classes, first-round quarterbacks, NFL drafts, playoffs every freaking year. In 135 years of playing football, OSU has won 8 national championships. It's easy. If they don't win them every year, they are bums.
Yep.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, great. I love the fact that a supposed Ohio State fan would think that way. So probably not a fan or just disgruntled. And you know what? Sometimes part of being
an angry elf, Schlegs.
Yeah. He was an angry elf. He was an angry elf. So I would say this. I feel very, very good about this game, Bob, and I know that you do as well. And again, Tennessee, people were picking Tennessee to come into the shoe and beat Ohio State, and Ohio State had the most decisive victory in the first round of the college football playoff. The dudes look fantastic. And here's the other thing that caught my attention. Nobody's talking about national championship anymore. The guys are literally talking about they are playing for the opportunity to wear the scarlet and gray one more time.
Yeah.
That's a mindset shift. That's very different than in the beginning of the year where it was national championship. This goes back to what you and I talked about in our discussion about how do you beat Michigan. When you focus it about the guys in the room and the opportunity to wear the scarlet and gray and to go out there and do that one more time and not just wear the uniform, but also to go out there and perform with your teammate, to me, that's the secret sauce. And I think the way this defense has been playing, I think the lessons they learned from the first matchup, now you're going into a neutral site in Pasadena.
Pasadena. Put the tilde on the end.
Might as well, man.
Tilde on the end, there. Like Anthony Rodriguez.
Pasadena, just like I call it Toilet and Salmon. You know what I mean? Where are you going? I'm going to Pasadena for some type of parade with roses and stuff. Anyways.
Good job. All right. That's it for Schlegs
right
here.
Not stoned.
Right. Allegedly. We're not sure. Schlegs loves the special sauce, though. It's his favorite. All right, coming up next to a little pennant. We're going to wrap up the show with the parting thoughts from our guy, Anthony Schlegel, coming up next.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right, Schlegs. In 2014, on New Year's Day, was that 11 years ago? I guess 2015, so a decade ago, Ezekiel Elliott went 85 yards through the heart of the South. Apparently, another Buckeye playing at the Naval Academy, hailing from Hilliard, Ohio, had some comments about it.
Yeah, he said, I was an Ohio State fan, and he went. Did he go to? No, he went to Darby, I think.
Went to Darby. I think you're right.
Yeah, so I was an Ohio State fan when Ezekiel Elliott went 85 yards through the heart of the South. So 95 yards through the heart of the South sounds pretty nice too. Side nugget, this is also an Oklahoma team that beat Alabama 24-3, and everybody was saying that Alabama should have been in the college football playoff. And then you have Blake Horvath goes 95 yards right down the middle for a touchdown, and the Naval Academy beats him. So one, good for him.
Your
Two, you never know who
touchdown run was a school record today, Blake. What did you see?
Open grass. I was an Ohio State fan when Ezekiel Elliott went 85 yards to the heart of the South. So, 95 yards to the heart of the South sounds pretty nice too.
Tremendous.
Absolutely love that.
And
that's what it's all
awesome.
about.
Yeah. 10 years later, he's playing in college, and he had a heck of a run there against Oklahoma. Like you said, Oklahoma stomped, I believe,
24-3.
20, yeah. It was a beatdown of epic proportion. All right, we got one more show. Tune in. Stay locked in tomorrow, Schlegs, 12:30, as we'll preview the game. We got Ben Scott Stevens, get you ready to make your money this weekend heading into the new year. Super juiced. Be here. Be locked in. Bobby Carpenter Show, 12:30 on Tuesday. See you then.